Good day, everyone, and welcome to our episode of the Lasallian podcast. So, our theme for today is our quarantine life, and with us here, yours truly, your host, JP.
I am Daryl.
Hi, I am June Rose Barug, but you can call me June.
I am Jannika, but you can call me Nika.
And I'm Karl McHale, but you can call me Karl.
Okay, so, guys, how are you doing currently?
Honestly, this quarantine is totally unexpected. Like, nangyari lang siya basta-basta, di ba? Like, we didn't expect it to happen.
Mm-hmm. But like, currently naman kasi, di ba, online classes. So, it's been hectic adjusting to this new quarantine life.
Yeah, same here. Yung abrupt na shift, diba? Tapos, hindi naman natin expect talaga. And then now, we've been having online classes for 2 terms. 2 terms already. Actually, more
Yeah.
than two. I think a lot of us are still going through the adapting phase, and not to mention, there's a pandemic that's going on. I hope everyone here is safe. How about you guys? About the rest?
It's kind of difficult to adjust since nasanay naman tayo na every time na discussions, it's better if it's personal. But I'm actually good right now. It's been pretty stressful, but I'm dealing with it naman.
I can say I'm fine, pero iba din kasi yung panahon ngayon. Parang our generation yung unang nagkaroon ng ganito. But buti may technology. If wala, I think sobrang iba ng experience natin.
Yeah, that's so true.
So guys, so kanina sinabi natin yung current situations natin. Pero at first, how did you feel when the Philippines was put under quarantine for the first time in mid-March? So I think lahat naman tayo, iba't iba yung experiences, pero it was very unexpected for all of us. Kami kasi, finals namin nun in grade 12, and sa una, masaya, pero yun nga, parang tumagal, naging malungkot din, tapos it became boring.
Personally, kasi March was actually my birth month. And like, the quarantine was put into action like, I think 5 days before my birthday. Kasi nakapag-reserve na ako at lahat-lahat. But then, yun nga, we were put into quarantine. So, everything was canceled. So, of course, honestly, for me, I was disappointed at that time. Yeah, but like, for the safety rin naman. And like, it made me anxious then since a lot of my family members are just like, hindi kami sama-sama sa isang bahay, di ba? So, parang syempre mapapaisip ka rin na how are my other family members doing? Are they safe? Like, yun. So parang, yun nga, nakakagulat siya and really made me think.
At first, I thought na temporary lang yung quarantine. Like, matatapos agad siya after a month, ganun. And, like, nagulat na lang talaga ako na until now, almost a year na yung quarantine, diba? So, parang siya, parang, diba, unexpected na nga siya nangyari. And,
Same with June, I also thought it's gonna be temporary. Like, nag-chill pa kami since I'm studying in Baguio. So, when it was announced na magkakaroon ng quarantine, like, we haven't even had our finals yet. So, it's kind of difficult, like, how we're gonna finish the school year. So, it's mostly online and all that. And I had to go home. Since I live in Pangasinan, I had to go home and leave my friends in Baguio. So, it's kind of difficult and yeah, medyo scary yung situation.
Oh yeah, you guys were grade 12 pala that time. Kadarating ko lang ng Philippines at that time from an exchange program sa Rome. And syempre na-sad ako kasi yung kaya kami umalis ng Italy kasi nag-emerge na yung spread ng virus and everything. So they sent us home because they thought we were going to be safer in our home countries. Yung classmates ko sa US and Mexico. And then me here sa Philippines. Turn on, naging online din yung classes namin na supposedly sa Rome. It was hard kasi walang internet sa house. So hindi ako naka-attend ng any of the following classes na online. At least naman, 'di ba, we're safe. Although let's continue to pray for our frontliners, yung infected pa rin, and for the repose of the souls, yung faithful departed natin.
So what did you guys do during the long break after the quarantine started? Since di ba na-cancel nga din yung classes. So we had that short, actually medyo long break din siya.
yeah, sa akin at first, diba, since nag-start yung quarantine, parang na-introduce na yung online class. At first, nag-a-adjust ako kung paano yun kasi umuwi din ako sa province nun, ganun. So, parang di din ako pumapasok sa online class, then nagsasubmit na lang din ako ng requirements since may na-signal sa amin. So, during the long break, parang nag-workout na lang ako araw-araw. Tapos parang nag-iba na yung lifestyle ko since bawal na lumabas since ECQ, di ba? Bawal lumabas yun. So parang I was able to spend more time with myself during the long break.
Nice.
Ako I think medyo naging mundane yung long break ko. Ginagawa ko na lang is nagda-download ng shows sa phone ko, tapos pinapanood ko, and I play games. Pero ngayon na-experience ko din gumamit ng stationary bike. Hindi ko siya na-maintain, hindi ko siya nagagamit ngayon. Pero dati talaga, halos araw-araw, stationary bike.
Ako naman, since hindi pa naman officially done yung school, we had our online classes wherein we just submitted requirements. And after that, siguro I watched TV shows and read a lot of books because I was bored. So I just found things that helped me deal with the boredom.
Yeah, same. So, technically, parang ganun din sa akin since wala rin ako masyadong magawa dito sa bahay. And like, everyone was home din. So, parang, ayun, we tried spending time naman with our families, pero everyday kasi kami magkakasama din. So, parang, at some point, parang nagkasawaan din kami, di ba?
Since ECQ nun. Di household chores, ganun. Kasi konti lang naman kami sa house, sa lola ko. So mostly talaga me, my mom, tapos yung tita ko pumupunta sa bahay minsan. And siguro nagpre-prepare for school, yun, nood din ng Netflix or babasa din ng book and quality time with my dogs. Pero before we move on sa next question, yung mga ID 120 here, when ba kayo nag-end ng school year?
May kami.
Kami, April.
Magkakaiba ba kayo ng courses?
Ako, business management.
I'm from BS Biomed.
Yeah, blackmate ko si Karl.
Ako lang pala mag-isa dito.
Okay lang yan. Kami ni Dar magkaiba din eh. Pero blockmate kami dati sa engineering. Si Dar nasa Eng pa rin. Ako wala na.
Okay, since you guys mentioned how difficult it was since the quarantine started, does the experience of being in quarantine affect you? And if so, in what way?
Because of the quarantine, di ba, I was able to spend more time with myself. So, parang that time, I was able to reflect and meditate about kung saan na ako sa sarili ko ngayon. Like, for being mature, like, nasa college na ako. Like, parang sa mga adjustments na ginawa ko compared nung senior high, sa mga decision making ko parang mahaba yung oras ko na for realization sa mga decisions ko in the past.
Wow. So, akin medyo opposite of hers kasi, I mean, sa akin kasi wala namang such a big change as like going into college since I was already in college. Pero, yun nga, since parang second year ka na, tapos biglang nagka-long break nga, ewan ko, para sa akin parang hinintay ko siya. Pero at the same time, hindi. Alam mo yan? Yun nga, since biglang nagka-quarantine, I had time. I suddenly had a lot of time. Tapos parang, yun nga, I had time. Pero nung bumalik yung online classes, syempre parang since bago yung environment, walang face-to-face classes, I couldn't ask questions like and get an immediate answer from the professor. So parang naka-affect siya sa akin sa studies ko and especially sa motivation since nasa bahay lang tayo during online classes. And like it really affects like how I manage my time. May times na parang mas efficient ako since everything's within my reach. Pero at the same time, since everything is just there, parang I can do it later. So parang medyo nagka-problem ako with like self-discipline. Tapos parang, yeah, since yun nga, I had a lot of time. So parang naging problem yung time management din.
Sa akin, I think malaking pagbabago yung hindi makalabas ng bahay. Minsan, you want to go outside, take a walk, get some fresh air. Pero ngayon, iba na yung air. It's nakakatakot na ngayon kapag lalabas ka. And with the pandemic, lahat lumipat sa online, pati na yung classes. And iba yung pakiramdam ng online classes.
Ako naman, since I'm an introvert and I prefer to stay at home, so I think it's okay lang. Although before kasi I always ask for like more time. But then, since hindi ko naman expect na super haba ng quarantine, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my time. Then, when the online classes started, it's like, there's a lot of requirements that we need to do. And since ako kasi, medyo matalong din ako sa mga professors. So, it's difficult kapag unresponsive yung mga professors.
Yeah, that's that's so true. That's one of the hard things then about yung online classes. But I think my answer is gonna be in relation to the last one then, yung what did we do during the break? Because I forgot to mention this. So at the start, it was frustrating because yun nga yung biglaang change and everything. And then as we went on, it was kind of building hope na rin amidst yung mga nangyayari. Kasi some of my high school batchmates and yung mga upper batches and lower batches, nag-get together kami for a fundraiser para sa frontliners. Yung part na yun ng quarantine, diba, it revived yung faith na we're gonna get over this soon if we're gonna help each other out and whatnot. After nun, yung transition natin into the next full term na online classes, it was hard to carry out yung duties sa USG because at the time we were tasked to survey the students on the experience ng past term ng online classes and then what they want to do moving forward. We went through a lot of like discussions with the admin. Sometimes it turned into debates talaga, even with other student leaders and the student body as well. So, naka-add siguro dun sa quarantine na yun is yun nga yung frustration na hindi ma-coordinate everything ng maayos kasi you're separated from one another and then sometimes unreachable yung isa because of yun nga, yung online connectivity problems. Minsan naman, syempre, they need to attend their personal emergencies. And lest we forget, we're in a pandemic, diba? So lahat na bago, look out for one another, stay safe, stay healthy, and care for those na vulnerable, lalo na dito sa virus na to.
For you guys, was there anything negative in quarantine?
Yung sa akin, I think, na-mention ko na, yun nga, since parang yung sinabi ko kanina na self-discipline, that was probably the most negative that happened. I joke, hindi, may isa pa. Pero like personally, that was the most negative for me, for myself. Pero I think this was around June kasi we have another house in Quezon City where my titas and my lola resides in. And like one morning, I just woke up and like my mom told me na everyone in the house except for one person in the other house, they contracted the COVID-19. Because, yeah, during that time, I think my mom was doing a lot of things. Like, she was buying a lot of medicine, vitamins, food supplements. Because one of my titas said she was starting to lose her sense of taste and she was panicking. Like, panic talaga. And like, my mom, since bawal kami pumasok sa house, kasi they were already put into quarantine, like 14-day quarantine on their own sa bahay na yun. Parang yun yung time na ang daming negative thoughts going on sa bahay namin. And of course, the other house kasi, you know, they were safe. Parang, I guess, during this quarantine, like, negative thoughts are like probably the hardest things to like fight right now since ang daming pwedeng mangyari. And there's a lot of uncertainties regarding the pandemic na. Especially since may vaccine na daw ngayon, pero
Siguro
How
for
are
me,
your relatives naman, Dar?
right now, sorry, nakalimutan ko i-update na. I think parang around November, they're fine na.
That's good to hear.
Hindi ko rin alam kung paano sila gumaling, pero thank God.
Si June Rose yata has something to say.
yeah, siguro sa akin is parang negative na nangyari sa akin during this quarantine is having anxiety and depression since 'di ba nag-aaral ako sa Manila and my family are nasa province. So mas mahaba yung panahon ko nasa Manila since sa Manila ako nag-aaral. So during the quarantine, I was able to spend more time with my family and dun ko nalaman na we're having a family problem pala. Like, my mom and dad are always fighting. Like, came to the point na parang sinasaktan na ng papa ko yung mama ko physically. So, parang it affects my mental health since hindi ko talaga expect na ganun na pala situation ng family ko right now. So, parang di ako makapaniwala talaga na yung ate ko parang sanay lang na ganun palagi yung mother and father ko. Pero sa akin parang naninibago ako na parang every time na naririnig ko sila na nag-aaway, ako talaga una lumalabas kasi parang kinakabahan ako para sa mabo.
Sorry to hear that, but sana maayos na or sana nga matapos na quarantine para ma-address din yung mga ganyan problems at home. For me naman, it's mostly yung frustration ko din with how the government's been responding. Kasi ang dami ng time na nasayang din sa DECQ na first na position of 14 days daw. They could have used that time na to test everyone they can, to contact trace yung mga nalapitan ng mga confirmed COVID patients and devise a long-term strategy na and shut off all the borders para hindi na lalong kumalat and everything. And then just provide support dun sa mga affected talaga na people. Kaso that those things came in late, super late. Kaya yun yung nakikita natin na nangyari right now na nahirapan na i-control, pumasok yung next variant ng COVID, and then kahit magkaka-roll out ng vaccines, medyo matatagalan siya, di ba? So, yun yung negative thing for me.
Same for me. It's kind of frustrating kasi it's almost been a year na and yet wala pang masyadong improvement. Yet sa ibang countries, like they can go out freely and parang normal, like they can handle and contain the virus. And also siguro yung negative thing is that I became separated with my dad since nasa Manila lang siya. So since the quarantine, I haven't seen him. So siguro it's almost been a year.
I think in this quarantine, maraming opportunity na nawala. Hindi lang naman events tulad ng birthdays or anniversaries, pero yung mga simple get-together ng families. I'm not only speaking for myself, pero yung alam ko na pinagdadaanan ng ibang tao, lalo na dumaan yung Christmas, maraming hindi nagkasama. And I think isa pang negative is that hindi ako makasama with my friends. I can't go out with my friends. I can't see them kahit miss ko na sila. The college life. I think kung face-to-face yung classes, it would have been more productive. Mas marami akong matututunan. And basta, overall, it would be better. Pero right now, no choice. If I want to continue my studies, I need to go to online classes.
Hoping for the best soon para you guys can experience then yung college life, although it's not gonna be entirely the same because even if may vaccines, we're still gonna have to limit yung interactions in school. Pero yeah, we're hopeful naman na you guys, ID 120, will soon meet each other in person, diba?
So guys, so sinabi natin kanina yung mga negatives about the quarantine, but right now, how would you describe the state of your mental health? And what are the factors that would contribute to your state?
Sige, I'll go first since ako lagi last. Mental health right now, ang hirap mag-cope sa online classes, lalo na if you can't go online lagi. And everything, yun nga, yung parang nawawalan ng distinction kasi yung time mo at home, time mo for ACADS, time mo for your org work. So, minsan na ano ka na din, alin ba dito yung focusan ko. And then, yun nga, kailangan din kasi natin mag-rest. Although, medyo nade-deprive na rin tayo with that minsan kasi dami talagang obligations pa rin, which I am shocked by. Because parang hindi naman napalitan yung workload despite yung circumstances right now. So all of those things contribute. And then, of course, the anxiety that's brought about by what's gonna happen next sa country natin, yung tipong hindi ko alam, ang dami kasing sumisingit pa na issues, bukod pa din sa COVID and quarantine. Yun yung start ng oral arguments ng anti-terror law, yung mga nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea, yung mga fishermen na pinalayas ng Coast Guard ng China doon. Yun lahat na yun. Hindi siya nagiging healthy for me. Although, there are ways to cope. Pero yun nga, very limited because of the limitations that are set by the quarantine.
As what I have said kanina, like during the quarantine, nagka-anxiety ako, na-depressed ako. But now, bumalik ako ng Manila since di ko na talaga kaya sa amin. So parang I can handle the toxic, yung pagiging toxic na ng parang family namin now. So I decided na bumalik ng Manila so that I can focus more sa online class since mahirap din kasi signal sa amin. So mahirap din since mag-isa lang din naman ako dito sa Manila. But parang I was able to focus more since sanay naman din na ako na mag-isa palagi.
That's good to hear.
Sa ngayon, I think, meron akong lockdown fatigue, meron man nun, and parang everyday, it's becoming more boring and boring kasi you're in the same place, doing the same thing. Lalo na parang, well, dati pa lang as a student, parang ang education, it's a bit repetitive, pero mas na-hammer down nung nagkaroon ng pandemic kasi sa online class, rinse and repeat, tapos nasa isang lugar ka lang, sa bahay ka lang. And syempre kung gusto mo lumabas, meron naman dong anxiety kasi kapag lumabas ka, paano pag nagka-COVID ka? Tapos paano kapag nagka-hawa-hawa yung family mo? So what would happen? So parang it's a bit paradoxical na yung lockdown fatigue, pwede mo siyang ma-solve pag lumabas ka ng bahay. Pero pag lumabas ka ng bahay, magkakaroon ka ng anxiety na magkakaroon ka ng COVID.
Dar or Jannika?
For me, I think I can say I'm kind of stressed right now kasi nga, yun nga, for me, di ba, finals week is like very near. Tapos, I mean, iba-iba naman yung workload natin since iba-iba yung courses natin. Pero sa amin sa engineering kasi, yun nga, medyo online classes aren't exactly the best option for us. Kasi yung calculations, theories, everything we need, medyo complicated siya i-explain. Like, for the students to understand it just through the screen, it's kind of high expectation yan para sa amin kasi hindi naman kami lahat ganun kagaling mag-isip compare sa iba. Tapos, yun nga, we have professors na hindi ko gets talaga. Like, madami sa amin hindi nakagets kung bakit ang taas ng expectations nila for us students na parang sabi nila, online classes naman na daw. So, like, you have a lot more of, like, we have more resources to work with daw. But, like, iba kasi yung pag natututo ka face-to-face and, like, with your professor there, answering your questions directly. Tapos, yun nga, internet problems, hindi siya nawawala ngayon. So, parang, yun nga, nakaka-stress siya since deadlines are, like, just around the corners, tas finals pa. So, yun.
For me naman, I think my mental health, siguro, it's good naman. It's in the middle. Sometimes kasi situations can be stressful, like ang daming requirements na hinahabol and deadlines. But I try my best naman to be productive and to take care of my well-being.
That's great. I think that's one of the most important things we should focus on right now, yung mental health talaga natin. If you guys feel the need to take a breather from your ACADS, from whatever's happening at home or whatever, just take some rest. Don't feel bad for it. And seek medical help when needed talaga.
So truly, this has been one of the most challenging times that brought that detrimental impact to all of us. So, as Lasallians, what values and principles have helped you in coping up with the effects of the pandemic? In what way do these values have helped you?
For me is being positive all the time and having faith kay God na all of this happened because of a reason. Siguro gusto lang ni God na ma-realize natin or ma-appreciate natin kung anong meron sa atin or being abusado sa kung mga anong meron sa atin before nung wala pang pandemic. Like, di ba, some of us, some other people, like, being abusive na of what they have or wala na silang pake kung anong mangyari sa paligid nila, ganon. And during this pandemic, di ba, we spend more time in our houses. So parang it can be that time na all of us can have reflection in ourselves.
Perhaps some of the values that really helped me in coping with with what's happening because of the pandemic is first yung resourcefulness. Although of course that's still limited because mobility is not maximized yet. But yung tipong I'll just do my best to like keep up with what's needed to be done and just use whatever I have for that. And another thing would be stewardship for God's creation. Because if there's one thing the pandemic's also teaching us, it's that we shouldn't move forward by compromising the state of nature and the environment. Because yun nga, yung sinasabi nila, saan ba galing yung COVID, yung mga diseases, it's because we humans talaga minsan sumusobra yung pag-interfere natin with the environment, yun to the point na the natural habitat ng ibang creatures na disrespect and disregard natin. Although that's not to say naman na the blame is all on them. Pero yun nga, maybe it's a time to reevaluate how we can do better after we emerge from this pandemic. And it's believing in the good nature of mankind. Na there are times na we mess up, but there are times na nagkamali tayo, pero hopefully we'll unite towards a greater purpose and become more inclusive and sensitive towards the needs of others, especially those of the last, the least, and the lost.
Para naman sa akin, I listed three values, that being faith, patience, and reserve. So, una, faith. I think important yung faith kasi we need to believe in God that He is always there by our sides, there at our backs, and He would always help us no matter the crisis that we would encounter in this time of pandemic. Second is yung patience. I think we need patience because in the time of pandemic, parang nag-distort yung pag daloy ng oras. We just need to wait. Kahit nasabihin nating mahirap maghintay, waiting is we need to wait in these times, especially sa vaccine, ganun. And third, last but not the least, is reserve. So I think it's important for us to be calm despite magkaroon ng stress or ng tension ngayong pandemic. It would help us na mag-isip kung ano yung nasa harap natin, and it would also help us to make decisions that would help us in the future.
For me, since the pandemic, a lot of things remain outside our control, and I think what helped me cope with the pandemic is patience and faith. For patience, kasi our composure is being tested all the time, and unclear pa rin kung ano yung mangyayari and when will everything get back to normal. So we always worried about kailan ba ulit, when will we meet our friends again and all that. And we don't know how long the pandemic will last. So I think being patient will allow us to endure everything and to not lose hope. Like, we should wait. And also for the faith, kasi it gives us reassurance na God will never abandon us, and that if we have faith, we can lean on it. And also, it reminds us na it is important na we don't, with our faith, we do not look at things negatively all the time. Kasi it will induce more negativity in life. So
I think mostly the same ako kay Karl. But I think I can add on yung like communion and mission. Since technically naman, most of what I've said is not like online classes. And yun yung pinaka like biggest change for me during quarantine. And like, yun nga, since we're all striving to like do better in classes nga, parang mas na-appreciate, for me, mas na-appreciate ko yung friends ko who have helped me so far to like maintain my grades, yun. And like some professors who have been really, really considerate, like sobrang mindful nila of like how they conduct their classes, with like, just like how they give out their requirements. Just parang, yun nga, patience is really what we need right now since a lot of uncertainties nga. Tapos, I think in line din with zeal kasi yun nga, since madaming na nangyayari ngayon, technically we're facing a lot of challenges. So like, we have to face them all and like do our best to overcome them even without like tulong-tulong naman tayo dito. Although kahit, virtually lang.
Nice. Well, what better way to end this than by asking ourselves, no, what do you guys think are the things that we could do to still manifest the core values in the time of this pandemic?
I think napansin ko sa Facebook and Twitter, malakas pala yung power ng pag-share and pag-retweet, lalo na for those in need. Sa Twitter, nakita ko, madami nagre-retweet nung mga sinalanta ng bagyo. So, meron doon mga stranded, meron doon nakakailangan ng donation. And I think sa simple pag-share at pag-retweet, marami kang matutulungan. Kasi, kunyari, mag-share ka sa gantong friend, and yung friend ng friend mo, i-share din nila. So, parang lumalaki yung network if mag-share tayo or mag-retweet. Yeah, it's online, pero I still think na it's a good way to use social media, especially in these times.
Siguro sa akin is having more faith kay Lord na even though this pandemic na hindi tayo masyadong nakakalabas, you can still have naman, 'di ba may online mass naman ngayon, and we can still pray on our own sa mga bahay natin. And as far as I know, 'di ba may mass naman ngayon na open, ay mass na which sa church na pwede and then siguro by being considerate by sa ibang tao, since we don't know how this pandemic affects them.
So, like what the others have said nga, I think the existence of technology right now is like a huge help for us, right, during this pandemic nga. Since, yun nga, limited yung like physical interactions natin with other people. Especially parang a lot of people are in need of help pa nga. Since, like, aside from the pandemic nga, yung ongoing pandemic nga, mga bagyo na dumaan sa Pilipinas, like, ang daming nasalanta. Tapos parang, yun nga, we have like a limited way of like reaching out to those people. So as much as possible, technology has been like the bridge between us and them in need of help. So parang, yeah, I think this is one way we can manifest the core values, because we can still reach out despite the circumstances we are in right now.
For me naman, I've seen a lot in social media actually where people open up about their concerns regarding their mental health, as we talked about earlier, the mental health. So I think we can be of help to these people by just asking them if they want to talk about something, or we can reach out to them since the pandemic has been really difficult for all of us. Also, I think we can use this as an opportunity to like appreciate the little things and develop the virtues as a Lasallian, and siguro to learn to care to the people who are suffering and help in any way we can.
I love all your answers. I'm not so sure how to add to that, but maybe what I can say is that you just need to really tap into the goodness in our hearts for us to find a way to live these core values of faith, zeal, and service, and communion and mission in whatever we do. Try to engage ourselves more, involve ourselves in the issues that matter, because as Lasallians, diba, we're achievers for God and country, and right now our country's going through a lot. So what can we achieve even with our limitations? So online setting, diba? So all of the things you said, those are excellent points, and yeah, let's just continue, you know, imbibing these core values in everything that we do. I think that's it. That was such a fruitful discussion. We've gotten to know one another throughout the podcast, and we're able to reflect on what's been going on for the past year, almost a year. Wow, time really goes fast. So, without further ado, I think it's time to say goodbye for now. So, we thank all our listeners for tuning into our podcast. To everyone here in the Zoom call, to Karl, Jannika, Daryl, and June Rose for just devoting their time for this activity, which turned out to be more than just a project that we need to fulfill. It's been a chance for us to reconnect and reevaluate what's been going on for the past few years or so. So, to everyone, we hope you stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon when things get better. So, bye.